Welcome to Timeless Mind by Nicolaus podcast. Each week, we explore powerful ideas from the past to help you think deeper, live clearer, and lead yourself well.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something I think many of us feel, a real puzzle. Why does trying really, really hard sometimes just make things harder? Not clearer, certainly not more joyful. Have you ever had that? Where the harder you push for something, the further away it seems to drift. It's a feeling that got me digging into some older ideas, the kind of timeless wisdom you can also find explored on the YouTube channel, Timeless Mind by Nicolaus. For me, this whole thing really hit home. I mean, I felt like I was doing everything by the book. I had the systems, the plans, the discipline, followed all the rules. Right. But the pressure just kept mounting. Clarity, gone. Joy, definitely gone. And it wasn't like I was being lazy or lost. Not really. But somehow pushing harder just meant drifting more. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of clicked.
Right.
Maybe the issue wasn't that I was failing. Maybe I was just trying to win the wrong game entirely.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, isn't it, how that personal feeling often taps into something bigger, a sort of common misdirection of energy in our lives today. It really highlights this gap between genuine growth and just, performing for applause.
Oh, that resonates so much. I remember early in my career just chasing what seemed important, what everyone else was after. The job title, the raise, the pat on the back that says, you made it.
The external markers.
Exactly. So I burned the midnight oil, jumped on extra projects, obsessed over details, hit the targets, nailed the quarterly goals, aced those performance reviews, all of it.
Ticking the boxes.
Yeah. And yet each win felt weirdly hollow. It was this strange success that just left me feeling, empty.
That's such a perfect picture of it. Chasing those external things, the numbers, the bonuses, the rankings, it really can become a kind of treadmill. You measure yourself by these metrics and you end up just constantly hunting for the next bit of approval, the next score. It stops being about you actually getting better or creating real value, and it turns into this endless performance. And the goalposts, they just keep moving, right?
Always moving.
Get the promotion, now you need the next title, bigger bonus, now you crave an even bigger one next year. It never really satisfies. Yeah. And the irony is, the more successful you look on the outside, the more you might secretly fear falling behind.
It feels like we've somehow taken that old myth, Sisyphus, and turned his punishment into our default lifestyle.
Yeah.
This guy doomed to push a massive boulder up a hill forever, only for it to roll right back down the moment he nears the top.
Yeah.
The real torture wasn't just the labor, it was the illusion, wasn't it? That just one more push would finally mean control, completion.
The ability of it.
Right. And that feels like the trap, where all this effort for external stuff just becomes its own kind of pointless struggle, draining the life out of you instead of building it.
It's a really striking parallel to how things can feel now. And if you connect that to ancient thought, it makes you think of Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher.
The river guy.
Exactly. His famous line, "You cannot step into the same river twice. Everything flows, everything changes." It's such a contrast to that desire we have for fixed goals, stable outcomes, those external things we can point to.
And that's exactly what I was doing, trying to stop the flow. I didn't want change. I craved control, total stability, predictability. It honestly felt like I was trying to freeze Heraclitus's river solid, and I almost drowned doing it, trying to hold on to something that just isn't meant to be held like that.
Which brings up a really crucial question. It comes from Epictetus, one of the key Stoic philosophers. Their whole thing was about figuring out what's in our control and what isn't. He asked this profoundly simple yet world-shifting question. What is truly within your control? And his answer was crystal clear. It's not the results. It's not other people. It's not the future. It's just my actions, my thoughts, my character.
Right.
That's it.
Wow. Yeah. That idea, which I'm still kind of grappling with, feels so connected. I'm seeing it more clearly now. Maybe I wasn't failing in the way I thought. Maybe I was just playing by the rules of a game that wasn't mine to win. A game based on chasing approval, controlling things I couldn't control, measuring life by stuff I didn't even really choose. Epictetus had it right. The real game is internal and letting go. It didn't mean giving up or doing nothing. It meant doing the right things, but for the right reasons. My reasons.
That's a really powerful shift to describe it. Okay, for someone listening right now who still feels that magnetic pull of the outside stuff, the titles, the recognition, How do you actually start to, dismantle that practically? What did it look like for you, going from chasing the image to actually rebuilding the person inside?
Right? It wasn't about doing less, not at all. It was doing differently. So practically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped chasing the image, started trying to rebuild the actual person, and that looked like, well, quiet mornings, not to cram more work in, but just to be present, to let things bubble up that the constant pressure usually ground out.
Creating space.
Yeah, space. And choosing my own values, really thinking about them instead of just inheriting what I thought I should value. It was slow, definitely slow, no quick fix. But it felt mine. And the most amazing things started happening. That obsession, that constant need to prove myself. It started to fade. The anxiety didn't vanish overnight, but it loosened its grip. Little by little, I started setting boundaries, saying no to things I would have previously jumped at just to impress.
Finding your own center.
Exactly. Discovering that the real joy wasn't in the achieving, but in the process itself, in the quiet hum of just doing things that actually aligned with who I wanted to be. Life started feeling less like this frantic race towards some finish line I couldn't even see clearly, and more like finding a rhythm, a sustainable, meaningful rhythm.
That shift from race to rhythm, that's precisely it. That's what can happen when you pivot from the external scorecards to your own internal compass. It's applying that ancient wisdom to this very modern kind of burnout. Those ancient thinkers, they really do offer a kind of map for this, don't they?
Yeah, I started looking back at them, not to escape, but just to understand, thinking, what if the problem wasn't how hard I was trying, but just the direction I was pointed? The Greeks, they knew this feeling. They left clues, warnings, ways to think about it.
They absolutely did. So if we sort of pull it together, you've got Sisyphus showing that curse of endless unfulfilling effort when it's tied to something external that never satisfies.
Right.
Then there's Zeno, maybe less obvious, but his paradoxes, like Achilles and the tortoise, they hint at how progress can feel impossible, like the finish line keeps receding, mathematically even, if you focus too much on the gap instead of the step. And Heraclitus, powerfully reminding us that fighting the natural flow, trying to freeze that river of life and change, well, it's exhausting and counterproductive. It can kill the very vitality you're trying to preserve.
Yeah.
And then finally, Epictetus, offering that incredibly empowering alternative.
Yeah.
Focus only on what's yours. Your choices, your thoughts, your integrity.
Yeah.
That's the path from external chaos to, hopefully, some internal peace.
And that's where I keep landing, realizing more and more, maybe I wasn't failing. I was just playing the wrong game. It's about learning to tune into that quieter question, the one I'd ignored for ages. What actually matters to me? Not to them, not to the metrics, but to me. I used to think the answer was try harder, go faster, earn my keep. But the real path, it wasn't more effort, it was just better direction, a different game. So if there's one core takeaway from our deep dive today, maybe it's this. True fulfillment, that sense of clarity, and maybe even joy, it doesn't come from trying harder to win someone else's game. It comes from figuring out and then playing the game that's genuinely yours, aligned with your inner self. And maybe here's something to just, mull over after we finish. What game are you currently playing? What are you chasing? And is it really yours?
And if these ideas resonate, if you want to continue exploring this kind of ancient wisdom that can sometimes cut through modern confusion, do check out and subscribe to The Timeless Mind by Nicolaus' YouTube channel. We're exploring this stuff together.
We really appreciate you joining us for this deep dive. Next time, we're going to explore something called night prayer to the self-ancient Greek reflection. Sounds intriguing, right? Hope you can join us then.
Thanks for reflecting with us here at Timeless Mind. Ancient wisdom for modern clarity. If today's idea sparked something in you, share it, live it, and pass it on. See you in the next episode.